Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, lovers and seekers, those who are lost and those who are found. Tonight, I will be reading from the compilation titled Outlaw Creative, The Geometry of Life. We will be hearing from the chapter titled Cruelty with a Smile. That being said, let's get started, shall we? Cruelty with a smile. There is a kind of cruelty that does not raise its voice. It does not threaten. It does not strike. It smiles. It arrives wearing reassurance, affirmation, cosmic order, and a promise that everything makes sense if only you would align correctly. This cruelty does not call itself cruelty. It calls itself truth, awakening, higher understanding, frequency, architecture, design. And that is what makes it dangerous. 1. The seduction of total explanation. Symbols explain experience. They do not run the universe. That distinction matters more than most people want to admit. Symbols are tools. They are lenses. They are compressions of lived experience into something portable. Language, geometry, myth, music, metaphor. They help us navigate. They do not govern. The moment a system forgets this, when it begins to claim that the symbol itself is causal, it crosses a line. It stops describing the world and starts judging the people inside it. This is where cruelty enters, because once a system claims to explain everything, it inherits a responsibility it cannot fulfill. It must now explain failure, and most systems like this cannot. 2. The hidden ledger. If a system claims to explain everything but cannot explain failure, it is selling immunity, not truth. That line cuts because it exposes the transaction. These systems promise coherence, inevitability, alignment, mastery. But look closely at how they treat the person who fails. If you succeed, the system says, you were aligned, you understood, you emitted the right frequency. If you fail, the system says you weren't ready, you resisted, you were unconscious, you didn't believe hard enough. This is not explanation. This is moral outsourcing. The system remains perfect. The individual absorbs the blame. That asymmetry is not accidental. It is the point. 3. Cruelty that never looks cruel. The genius of cruelty with a smile is that it never appears harsh. No one is punished directly. No one is condemned explicitly. No one is expelled. Instead, people are quietly sorted. Those who thrive are held up as proof. Those who suffer are treated as incomplete data. And when someone asks a real question, why did this happen? Why didn't this work? Why did I do everything right and still lose? The answer is never structural. It is always personal. That is cruelty disguised as empowerment. 4. Most people see. This is why the phrase most people see is so telling. It doesn't describe reality. It establishes hierarchy. It quietly says, I see more than the crowd. You can too if you follow me. Disagreement places you back among the many. This move doesn't teach. It pre-qualifies authority. It creates a ladder without admitting it exists. And ladders like this always have a trapdoor. If you fall, it was never the ladder's fault. 5. Immunity as product. What is being sold here is not understanding. It is immunity from uncertainty, immunity from randomness, immunity from grief without reason, immunity from effort that doesn't pay off, immunity from love that fails anyway. But life does not offer immunity, so when a system promises it, the cost is deferred and paid later by the person who believed. That payment looks like self-blame dressed up as insight, silence where anger should be, spiritual language covering ordinary despair, seriousness replaced by performative calm. The smile stays, the damage accumulates. 6. The violence of blame without teeth. There is a difference between judgment and consequence. Judgment says you are wrong. Consequence says, this is what happened because of what happened. Cruelty with a smile removes consequence entirely and replaces it with evaluation. You didn't fail because the system breaks down under pressure. You failed because you didn't become the right kind of person. That move is bloodless. It is also brutal, because there is no repair path, only self-correction without end. 7. Why this bothers you. You bristle at this because your work runs in the opposite direction. You do not flatten failure into meaning. You do not rescue pain by explaining it away. You do not promise immunity. You keep faith with the dead. You keep weight where weight belongs. You allow things to cost what they cost. You don't say, everything happens for a reason. You say something happened, it mattered, and now we have to carry it. That is not comforting. It is honest, and honesty does not smile when it should grimace. 8. What cruelty with a smile really is. Cruelty with a smile is not malice. It is premature consolation. It rushes to close the account before the body has finished testifying. It replaces witness with framework. It replaces listening with explanation. It cannot sit still, because stillness would reveal the gap. And that gap, the place where explanation ends and responsibility begins, is where real ethics live. 9. A clean refusal. So here is the refusal, stated plainly. Symbols help us speak. They do not govern reality. Insight that cannot account for failure is incomplete. Systems that never implicate themselves are not wise. Any worldview that smiles while assigning blame is lying about its gentleness. Truth does not need immunity. Truth does not need an unnamed crowd beneath it. Truth does not need to explain everything. Truth can say, I don't know why this happened. I only know that it did, and then stay. 10. Closing. Cruelty with a smile is seductive because it feels kind. But kindness that cannot tolerate grief, that cannot absorb failure, that cannot sit with anger without correcting it, is not kindness at all. It is control wearing good manners. And you've spent too long learning the difference to pretend not to see it now.